Hey guys, I am back, and Happy Remembrance Day. We remember all of the soldiers who fought in the war. My grandpa fought in the war, World War II. He was a great guy. I remember him on this day. So, and next year will be a special year for my grandpa, which I call him Oprah. He would have been 100 years old at the end of February on the 29th, or March 1st if it was not a leap year. I will do something nice for him on that day. So, and I had a lovely birthday with my dad a week ago today, so thoughts why I didn't make a video like I usually do. So now talking about iOS 4, which was the first year by Apple that Apple changed the name from iPhone OS to just being called iOS, which I like that better. So let's start. iOS 4 came out by Apple on June 21st of 2010, and Apple dropped support for the iPhone 1 and the iPod Touch 1. Here are all of the devices that support iOS 4 operating system. iPhone 3 grams, iPhone 3GS, iPhone 4, iPod Touch 2, iPod Touch 3, iPod Touch 4, iPad 1 and iPad 2. Apple's fourth iOS came with the internal release and was the internal release for the iPhone 4. The home screen of iOS 4 looks like this. So, and I showed you this on my iPod Touch 4. I will be using this device for my next 3 videos because I don't have got a device with iOS 5 and iOS 6 and iOS 7. I don't know what I am going to do, but I don't worry about it until when I get there and then decide what I am going to do. But let's get back to iOS 4, and before I go on, I will go back in time to 2010, when this song was the #1 song back then. So let's go back to 2010. While life looks really different back then, there was no COVID at all or worrying about it. So is that Firework by Katy Perry. This song is one of the all-time songs that you will sing on New Year's Eve or at a party. Hey, by the way, I haven't planned a date to have it, but for my 9th year in a row, I am going to have a New Year's Eve party, and we will say goodbye to 2021 and bring in 2022 and say hello to it. That would be a great night and really fun. So let's get back and talking about iOS 4. So Apple released iOS 4.0.1 on July 15th of 2010, and that update came with carrier signal strength calculation method change after investigation, and also in the mail app the exchange account bug has been fixed. Fast forward to iOS 4.0.2, and it was released on August 11th of 2010. It came with security fix for an exploit taking advantage of PDF file format called Rabbi List. Apple released iOS 4.1 on September 8th of 2010, and it was a big one. It came with the internal release for iPod Touch 4. General here are all of the new features that came with iOS 4.1. HDR photos captured with the iPhone 4. It added Game Center, which looks like this. Game Game Center is a service by Apple that allows users to play and challenge friends when playing online multiplayer social gaming network games. Games can now share multiplayer functionality between the iMac and iOS devices. So now let's move on to iOS 4.2.1, which I don't understand why Apple skipped iOS 4.2 and went all of the way to 4.2.1, which makes no sense to me, but okay. It just is what it is. Anyways, iOS 4.2.1 was released on November 22nd of 2010, and the update came with the initial release on the iPad 2, and it's the last versions to use on iPhone 3Gs and iPod Touch 2 nanosecond general due to hardware and performance issues. They want you to update your device, so thoughts why? I don't have to buy a new phone for a while for 5 years unless maybe which this one I was down to the camera on this. I was really happy about my iPhone SE 2, which is I loved, but I wasn't going to buy it, and then after it was out for a month and lots of people loved the camera and the Pro Max, and a person said you could fit up to 1 million photos on the phone. If you got the 1 terabyte model, which is the highest you could get right now, even Samsung or Google phones doesn't have that option yet. So Apple is ahead on the game with that. But overall, Google and Samsung are both ahead with Apple because their new phones came out after Apple released theirs. After I am done talking about iOS 4 by Apple, I will give you my top 5 best features that I like on my new iPhone 13 Pro Max. However, I never used this phone for a month. I am still getting used to it. But if some of you guys want, write to me in the comments and tell me that if you want me to do it after 1 month, my review on this. So iOS 4.2.1 was the very first iOS that I have ever seen in my life in real life. I haven't seen an iOS by Apple before this one came out on November 22nd of 2010. Mine to Christmas of 2010 was the first time I moved my life to the next stage, which is the Apple stage of my life. Wow, so I have loved Apple for almost 11 years, crazy. Later, if you want, in a few weeks, I could tell you about the first time I seen an Apple product, which was an iPod Touch 3, and I still have it. My dad gave it to me, which was sweet of him. He didn't need it anymore, and he was not collecting them. I am so thoughts, why you let me have it? Even though nowadays you can't update it or do anything with it and the power button doesn't work, add more on it. Something happened to it. Anyhow, moving on to the next software update from Apple, which was again, I have no clue why Apple did it, but they did. So Apple skipped iOS 4.2.2, 3, and 4 and released iOS 4.2.5 to the public on January 11th of 2011. Happy New Year everyone to 2011 meters anyways, and the update came with the initial release on iPhone 4. It also came with a fix for Wi-Fi hotspot. Then Apple released iOS 4.2.6 on the last day of January of 2011, and the update came with some more bug fixes for the Wi-Fi hotspot. Apple released iOS 4.3 on March the 4th, which is Star Wars Day 2011. May the Force be with you. The update came with supports for Wi-Fi hotspots. iTunes Home Sharing MirrorPlay was released along with screen mirroring. Both of them work together, and as well as other minor improvements. It also was unavailable on iPhone 4 for some weird reason. I don't know why they decided not to bring this update to the iPhone 4. Any was moving on to iOS 4.3.1 was released on March 25th, 2011, and the update came with a fix for the iPod Touches and glitch with the screen. They improved and as well fixed cellular connectivity on iPhone models. Apple released actually 2 iOS software updates, believe it or not, first time. So they released iOS 4.3.2 and as well as iOS 4.3.7, and they both came out on April 14th of 2011. It fixes frozen calls with FaceTime, and by the way, FaceTime is a brand new Apple app back then, same with Game Center and eBooks, and it also fixes more cellular connectivity issues on iPads. I didn't know back then you can buy an iPad with cellular plan on it, but you could know. Shall we move on to the next update from Apple, which as I already said the date thought's weird anyhow. Oh shoot, do you know what I did wrong for telling you that iOS 4.3 came out on March 4th? I made a mistake, please forgive me. Too late now to change it. Apple released another double update, which was iOS 4.3.3 and iOS 4.2.8, and it was released on May 4th of 2011. Both updates came with fixes for location services. Apple released another one yet again, a double update. Wow, this is crazy and kind of cool at the same time. Apple released iOS 4.3.4 and as well as iOS 4.2.9, which is cool. They were both released beginning of Apple released iOS 5, but I will just save it to talk about it in my next video. Summary, and that was released on July 15th of 2011, which was just some security fixes, which is real cool. Apple is still doing it today with iOS 12 and iOS 14 if people might not update iOS 15 for whatever reason. I don't know exactly why. Apple's final double updates to close out iOS 4 was iOS 4.3.5, and they also released, believe it or not, a 0.10 to iOS 4.2, and both updates security update to fix the certificate violation. Now that's a wrap on iOS 4, and now it's time to the segment of my video, where I talk to you about Remembrance Day. So I don't want to type it all into my video, but I have found a video on YouTube about it and I am going to play it. Just listen to it. Don't worry, it's short, only 5 minutes and 45 seconds.
The Poppy Story. The First World War, or the Great War, started in 1914. The British Empire and their allies, France, Russia, Italy, and America, fought a war against Germany, Austria-Hungary, and the Ottoman Empire. Millions of men joined the British armed forces and went to fight in the war. The conditions were terrible, and millions were killed or injured. Those that did return home would never be the same again. One of the largest battles of the war took place around the town of Ypres in the Flanders region of Belgium. While serving in Flanders, a young Canadian soldier called John McCrae noticed how bright red poppies grew wild amid the war-torn landscape. Despite the devastation that surrounded him, he was inspired by the poppies that grew there to write the poem In Flanders Fields. His poem became very popular, and the bright red poppy would soon be adopted as a symbol to remember all those who'd fought in the war. The First World War ended at 11 o'clock in the morning on the 11th of November, 1918. This was the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. The war had lasted over 4 years. The 11th of November every year is called Remembrance Day or Armistice Day. After the war ended, people started making paper poppies to sell. They sold poppies to raise money to help the millions of sailors, soldiers, and airmen who were coming home from the war. These people are called ex-servicemen and women, or veterans. On Remembrance Day, people wear a poppy, and at 11 o'clock in the morning, the same time the war officially ended in 1918, there was a 2-minute silence. This is for people to remember all the veterans who have served their country in a war, not just the First World War. Remembrance Day happens every year around the world. The poppy isn't the same everywhere. Some countries use different designs for their poppy. In England, Wales, and Northern Ireland, the poppy has 2 petals and a leaf. But in Scotland, the poppy has 4 petals and no leaf. All the poppies sold in Scotland are made in the Lady Haig's Poppy Factory in Edinburgh. The factory was founded in 1926 by Lady Haig, the wife of Field Marshal Douglas Haig, who was the commander of the British Army in France during the First World War. When the factory first opened, all the poppies were handmade by just 2 ex-servicemen with some red paper and a pair of scissors. Today, there are over 40 ex-servicemen with disabilities who work in the factory. These men make 5 million poppies every year for the Scottish Poppy Appeal. They also make more than 10,000 wreaths and tens of thousands of wooden remembrance symbols. These include Christian crosses, Muslim crescents, Sikh khandas, the Jewish Star of David, and a symbol for humanists. All the poppies are still made by hand, although a machine now cuts out the poppy shape. The ex-servicemen make 2 types of poppy. A poppy with a green plastic stem, and a stick-on poppy. When all the poppies have been made, they're packaged up with collecting tins for the money, then sent to our volunteers all over Scotland. Every village, town and city in Scotland has volunteers who donate their time for free to sell poppies in their local area. Poppies are sold in lots of places. You can find them in shops, supermarkets, offices, schools, factories, churches, and hospitals. Volunteers collect the money made from selling poppies. They also hold fundraising events like jumble sales, cake sales, and races to raise even more money. Thanks to their hard work, our volunteers raise millions of pounds from the people of Scotland every year. All the money that's made helps ex-servicemen and women in need after serving in the Navy, Army, or Air Force. We also help their families, their wives, husbands, partners, and children. We help with house repairs, wheelchairs, and specially adapted vehicles to help them live in their own homes for longer. We also give money so they can retrain, start their own businesses, or grow an existing business. And we give advice, information, and support to deal with any problems that may be encountered along the way, helping them rebuild their lives. All this from a tiny poppy.
So we think about our loved ones on this day. Sorry, truthfully, I forgot to wear a poppy on this day, but from now on for Remembrance Day 2022 and so on, I am going to wear one. I think about my grandpa that he fought in World War II. The soldiers fought so we could have freedom today, and I am really glad that this Remembrance Day falls on the day I am making this video. So quickly, here's my top 5 things that I like about my new phone. Wow, there's so many great things with my new phone, but I only will say my top 5, so here I go. I love that whenever you update it, instead of black and white Apple icon, the Apple icon is colorful and the background is purple, which I really like. When I got it, it came with iOS 15.0.2, and I updated right away to iOS 15.1. The second feature that I like is now I have got live wallpapers, which moves around on the home screen when you touch it. Third feature is I really like how big it is. I am kind of weird. I went from an iPhone 5 seconds to iPhone 6 Plus to an iPhone SE 2 and now to an iPhone 13 Pro Max. It has got a 6.9-inch screen bigger than my dad's. The logins yours are a 6.7-inch screen, which mine is bigger and it's crazy. I need big screens for my eyes. I have got a version problem. My fourth feature that I really like is photographic selfies in camera app. I took a screenshot of the pop-up, and my final feature that I like the most, this is really hard, is the storage space. I decided for some reason to get the most storage space on the iPhone ever. I went and got the terribly model, which is infinite. Apparently you can fit something like 1 million photos on here, which is crazy. I am probably never will take 1 million photos in my lifetime, but you will never know. So if you like and enjoyed this video, hit the subscribe button. I'm going to leave you with this song from my school a few years ago on this Remembrance Day 2021. Love you, hope very much. See you next week for another video. Bye.
There's no one in town I know. You gave us someplace to go. I never said thank you for that. I thought I might give one more chance. What would you think of me now? So lucky, so strong, so proud. I never said thank you for that. Now I never have a chance. May angels lead you in. Here you meet my friends. On the sleepless road to the sleepless road. May angels lead you in. So what would you think of me now? So lucky, so strong, so proud. Never said thank you for that. Now I'll never have a chance. The angels lead you. Here you meet my friends. On sleepless nights, the sleepless let's go. Angels lead you. May angels lead you. May angels lead you. May angels lead you. Sing to you just one time. Song for lead you in. Hear you make my friends. On sleepless wings, the sleepless go. May angels lead you in. May angels lead you on sleepless wings,
Happy Remembrance Day, everybody.